Hey pen friends, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another journaling chat. I don't have a dedicated topic for this video, so I thought we would just sit down and I would fill you in on a couple new things that are going on in my life in terms of my journaling habit. I have a list of a couple things that I want to chat with you today. One of them is a new pen find. The other is a bit of a analog system tweak that I've been experimenting with. And then I also wanted to chat a bit about kind of taking time off from planners and coming back in the seasonality of it all. So that's what we're going to do today. As per usual, it seems like all of my videos now are mostly chatting versus showing, although I think there will be a little more showing in this one. But if you want to listen to me while you do something or journal yourself, that's probably an excellent idea. Okay, so let's get started with what I wanted to chat with you about. Okay, but without further ado, let's talk, let's chat. So the first thing I wanted to tell you is that, big news, I have found another brown pen that I really like. In case you're new here, hi. I'm Kaitlin, nice to meet you. I don't use black pens, ever. In fact, I don't think I've used a black pen for planning or journaling for about, I would guess, 5 years now. And since discovering sepia brown tone pens, the one that I've always used has been this one right here, which is actually not the pen in this body. I apologize. I know that's probably very confusing, but I don't like the writing experience with the pen body it comes with. But this pen body is called the Uniball 1F. It's in this green color that I don't think they make anymore, but the insert itself is the pen I always use, which is the Sarasa Vintage in the color brown gray with a 0.5 millimeter nib size or pen tip size. I've used this guy for a really long time. If you want to see what the writing looks like, although I feel like most of you probably don't need to because you know, I'm just trying to hide something here, but you can kind of see the brown here. When I say I write with brown inks, it's not a light brown by any means. It's fairly dark. I don't have, let's see. I don't have any black to compare, but here's another one if you want to see. So you can just see that, especially on cream paper, which also has that warmer tone like the pen, it's just a bit of a softer experience and it's a little less harsh on the eye than black. I just really like neutrals in general, so maybe that's also why, but since discovering this one back 5 years ago, I've always stuck with this when writing. And recently I discovered another brown pen that I actually quite like, so I wanted to share that with you here because I know some of you are also very much into brown pens like I am. And that one is this guy. This is the pen body for this pen, and this is the Energel. Actually, I'm not sure the exact name. I think it's just called the Pentel Energel Liquid Gel Ink Pen. That's what it says here. This is in 0.7 and this is in the color Sepia. And this is a beautiful brown pen. If I can show you here, I'll just maybe swatch both in the back here so you can see. And I'll just kind of do a color swatch so you can see the difference. This is what they look like. Oh, there we go. So on the left, that one is the Sarasa Brown Gray, and the right is the Pentel Sepia. So the Sepia is a little more brown toned, a little more saturated. Although I will note that with the Sarasa, as I've used it over the 5 years, there have been slight variations in the color depending on the refill you get. Sometimes it can look a little more saturated, sometimes it's a little lighter and less saturated. It does vary, but not very much. You probably wouldn't notice it unless you were looking very closely. But yeah, that is the recent pen discovery I wanted to share. I haven't used energel since I think high school, because in my high school, my school store would sell these pens and I would buy them off of them. And I must say, I completely forgot how smooth this pen is to write with. It's quite nice. It's really great for cursive. If I have like, yeah, I did a highlighter test with it here. Really great. And I do really like the 0.7, the thicker nib size for cursive. So that's been very nice as well. But yeah, just wanted to shout out the latest pen find. Energel, sepia 0.7, but they also make a 0.5. And yeah, we're going to be keeping this in the pen case for the foreseeable future. The second update I wanted to share is related to this notebook, so I'll keep this open. But one of the things that I had started doing since reading David Allen's Getting Things Done is I've started to use a notepad as a sort of physical inbox for recording incoming tasks and notes and items as the book recommends. I think the actual recommendation from the book, and I have the older version from 2001 when it was first published, but the original recommendation was actually to write a single thing on one piece of paper and then put that in a letter tray. And for myself, for how many thoughts and tasks I personally have, I didn't really want to, do that exact method just because I thought that would be going through a lot of paper and be just a touch wasteful for how much I would need. So instead, I had a notepad and I would write multiple items on the notepad and kind of process through it and migrate that information to the correct places based on the method. And one of the things I found with that is with tasks where I'm processing them, that's fine, but certain notes, if I hadn't migrated them, tended to get kind of lost in the shuffle because I would throw out my sheets of paper attached to my notepad as I wrote in them. So something I've decided to trial in my traveler's notebook is just using a simple grid insert. This is their number 3. It has, I know, white paper, which I don't personally love, but I had this in my stash, so I wanted to use it and not buy a separate cream paper insert. But I've been testing this out as my kind of inbox in place of my notepad so that I have everything a little more together and it's not as easy to lose the loose papers. I'll also note that my dog, who I don't know if I've told you, but she loves to eat paper, which is quite a quirky trait if I do say so myself. She has discovered that this notepad is paper and she now seeks it out actively and has tried to eat it a couple times, and certain notes have gotten lost due to the piece of paper no longer being there because my dog ate it. So this has been helpful too with just helping hide the paper from her. But yeah, I've been kind of taking notes here, using this as my sort of inbox. I'm just putting this card here to cover up a couple sensitive work things, but this is an example. It's very messy, as you can see, and I think it's important, I've learned this year for myself, to have a space for messily jotting down notes and thoughts. I would actually recommend everyone have sort of a free space to do that kind of thing. I think it's really helpful and it acts as a very good catch-all, especially in replacement of my phone, because this feels actually easier to write stuff down than going into my phone, which I think is nice. But as you can see here, I have tasks, which I just highlight when I'm done. I also have been trying to cross it out. I haven't decided which one I like better. I also have random notes in here, also very messy. I am gonna be printing out some guides for myself for Stardew Valley, so I made some notes here. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on there. So that's kind of been an addition to this notebook that I'm testing out, and I do really like how I kind of have my planning system, if you will, in two traveler's notebooks, as I have this book, which is currently kind of catching all of the information. It's the physical inbox. And then my passport is my actual planner, which I have in the form of a bullet journal. So kind of nice how these two interface with each other. I'm quite enjoying it. And yeah, that's kind of been a bit of a new thing I've been testing out in my regular TN. So I'll keep you updated on if I keep doing this, but so far I am quite enjoying it. Okay, the next update, Passport Traveler's Notebook. This one is interesting because I think since August 11th until the first week of September, I had seriously been falling off using this as my planner. I think with reading, getting things done, I was kind of questioning if bullet journaling was the right approach for me, because bullet journaling and the getting things done method do have some slightly diverging concepts that don't exactly connect well together. So I was kind of having a bit of a mental debate on whether or not the tool I use to document my life should also be a tool I use for planning, if they should be separate. And I had a bit of a think about it and kind of tried a couple different things, but ultimately I did end up coming back to this in September and continuing to use my bullet journal. And I think it's interesting because I think there is a lot of conversation, dialogue, especially with the YouTube space and planners and journals around consistency. And I've talked about consistency. I think I have a video on tips for being consistent, but I have to say it was actually really nice taking a bit of vacation from my planner. It didn't affect my productivity or stress levels too much. Obviously, I wasn't as organized, but we made do. However, I think that taking a bit of a step back allowed me to come back to this and appreciate how effective it is for me and how much more productive I am and how much better I feel mentally using this, because everything's kind of squared away and I don't have to worry about forgetting something. So yeah, I just wanted to mention I took a little short pause from my bullet journal. I'm back in it now. I'm enjoying it, and I've been using this since January of this year consistently. Actually, I've been using a passport bullet journal since October of last year. So in a couple of weeks, I will hit the 1 year mark of using this, what I would consider consistently. There's been some breaks here and there, but I think for the most part, this has been the most consistent I've been with the book. And for me, it's been a pretty big improvement in staying in one type of system for a certain purpose. So I did take a little break with this. Let me see, is there anything to show you? Oh yeah, I was having some trouble with this insert. This is by Good Impressions. I noticed that I think they've switched to a different batch of Tomoe River paper with this insert, which is the 80 GSM cream paper 62 GSM, I think. And I was finding that when I was writing in it, it was feeling a little slippery. And what I did to help with this is I actually started writing on a table again. I tend to flip-flop between writing on a couch with a bit of a surface that's harder to help support my notebooks and writing on a table. And I've gone back to writing on a table, and I found that that has really helped with my writing angle and the writing experience with this paper. So that has been very, very nice. Let's see, what have I added to this book? Oh yes, I actually have added a couple things. So one of the things I took out of my system and kind of simplified, and I think I kind of predicted this might happen in my in my Techo mid-year update, is I have taken my next action lists out of the A6 notebook that I was keeping them in, and I've just set them up at the back of my bullet journal. Not only do I have the space now because I went from a 60-page to an 80-page insert, but I also just like how it's a little more streamlined. It's simple. I kind of thought this was going to happen eventually, but it's, yeah, finally happened, I guess. So I have added my lists here. I have one for home or personal next actions, and then I like to separate my list by personal versus work. So then on the next page, I can't show you because it's sensitive, but I have the exact same setup for my work next actions, and I've left 2 pages for my home list and 4 pages for my work list because I tend to have a lot more work actions that I need to work through on this type of spread. The other thing I've done, if I can find it, let's see, is, here we go. So I set up September recently. I feel like coming back into this bullet journal, it was kind of a mess, honestly. Usually I set this up so that the first week of September falls after my monthly setup, and I think I totally forgot and then set up this spread. So this is between my first and second week of September, but you know, it gets the job done. So we continue forward. But normally I set this up. It has my calendar on the left, events on the right, which I need to fill out, as you can see. Tasks, media. So this is things I'm watching, things I'm listening to, games I'm playing. I like to track that. And then the new thing is I have added 2 pages. This is related to getting things done. In his book, he has a list where he collects all of the projects that he has and is working on. And I wanted to replicate the same thing in my bullet journal, but I wanted it to be on more of a monthly or seasonal basis. So I just added it to my monthly setup. I'll write my projects down here, and then I want to have a column for each week of the month. So then I can cross out which weeks I'm actively working on that thing. If I'd finished the project during the month, I will put a cross under the dot to symbolize that it is completed. So that is something I've added to my monthly setup. And again, it's nice with the 80-page insert, even though I've added 2 extra pages to what I set up monthly, I don't have to worry about the book filling up too fast. I know that I have enough pages to get me until the end of the quarter. So that has been quite great as well. And I was just checking my notes, but that actually is all I wanted to share with you today. So a bit of a shorter update. I hope you don't mind there wasn't as much content in this one, and hopefully you enjoyed the mini updates that I shared in today's video. Let me know if you've been making any changes to your notebooks and journals. As we approach the end of the year, there's definitely a lot of excitement around what is going to be used for next year and brainstorming 2026 analog systems. I have some ideas of what I want to use, but as I mentioned in my last video, I try not to think too much about my planners for next year until October, November. One thing though I will add though is in terms of planner season, I will be picking up some Traveler's Notebook stuff for October when it releases, so I'll make sure to show you what I grab from that. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me as you journal or do something else. Maybe you're doing the laundry. I don't know. I hope that you have a good rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.